shake, rattle, and troll.
It's time for the award-winning Shake, Rattle, and Troll.
Yeah, kiss the weapon, grab your favorite pose. Me and the boys gonna shake.
A show for the serious fishermen as well as the novice looking for tips from the pros.
We got the power, we got the speed. We're running wide open on a midsummer breeze. Freshwater, saltwater, watch out, boys. Bass Daddy Don's gonna make some noise. It's me and the boys gonna shake, rattle, and
Now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman, the man that fears no fish, Bass Daddy and Tournament Pro, Don McDowell.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm Don McDowell.
And Special K. Good morning, Bass Daddy.
Indeed, sir, and a good morning to you, sir. We have an awful lot of stuff to cover today. We've got a special guest in here. You'll know him from AZGFD, formerly from OGT, now with OHV. Joshua Hurst, thank you for coming down.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
The Professor Jerry Tate is here.
Good morning, Don.
Jerry, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
With the fishing activity going on, we're going to school JK and Josh in the art of fishing the soft plastic fluke this time of the year.
I dated a fluke. Oh, she was
No.
Sorry, not a fluke. She was a flake.
Always seems to be a pattern here.
Yes, we're not going to. By the way, you and I have had a busy week.
I don't want to talk about my week. It was like a week from hell.
Both of us had one of those, but we had a fun moment. There are a few good things that happened this week.
What?
On Wednesday, we had Shot Heard Round the World out at the department.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, for me to do an offhand shot and to hit a bullseye at 50 yards, I haven't done that, and I haven't shot a rifle in probably
Kudos
7
to
years.
Scott Lavin. He pulled off just a premier event.
It was fun, and I guarantee you next year when it's on a weekend,
oh man,
there'll be quadruple the number of
it'll
people
be standing room only.
Oh, yeah. And then yesterday was the Pat Tillman Walk. They had over 35,000 people. They closed it off. That's how many people walked. You know, and I've read the book on Pat Tillman, and I remember him from ASU in his days when he played here, and he was one wild, crazy SOB. But he was also a very dedicated person, one of the most brilliant people ever to probably play for ASU.
Yeah,
he just walked on a different he worked in a different plane than most people ever think about.
So does Josh.
I know. Yeah.
You should have been there. Your Kathy, I think it's Kathy Watson, was the range master on the small bore range.
She did fine.
I thought the shot heard round the world. I thought we're all going to walk up to the bench and chamber around and send one round down range. And she said, we're going to fire the first volley. I go,
volley.
I said, okay, well, hang on, range master. How many shots are in a volley? She goes, sir, how many shots are in that magazine you have there? I said, 30. She goes, the first shot is 30. First volley's 30 shots. It was awesome.
I'll tell you what, it is so hard to try and aim and fire when you're getting the concussion from the side. You flinch. If just as you're squeezing, if somebody next to you.
That guy next to wait. Let me put this in perspective. Director Boyles was next to JK. He was shooting at 22.
So was I.
Okay.
But it was the guy next to us on the left.
Oh.
You could feel it. You could feel the concussion as it was coming out. So somebody had a muzzle brake, and it was loud. And Larry and I looked at each other and said, can you see that target down there? I said, yeah, I think I can. Can you see the bullseye? No. I'm going to just point in that general area. How about you?
Yeah,
okay.
It's a shot heard around the world, not seen.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That was the Graybeards on the firing line.
Yep. But that's all right. He did well. He put 7 out of 10 in the paper. But they were really kind of patterned. They was just left to center. Mine was dead center, but it was only 5 out of 10, I think. But I understood it, but I had one in the bull. But they were all right there. After that, it was God knows where they went. But there's no mules were hurt, or no burros were hurt during that firing exercise.
Nice. It was a fun day. After you left, we had some vendors inside the activity center there by the small bore range. That was pretty fun. I bailed out about noon, 12:30ish. I'm up at the big range with the Buns in the Sun hot dog guy. Okay, shooting.
How did I know?
Bass tournaments. What is it without a hot dog? Here's what I learned about how screwed up EPA is. I order my hot dog.
Yeah.
And the guy's, of course, he's got the latex gloves on, and he opens up the condiments. He said, "What would you like to have? You can have relish, hot peppers, some onions." I said, "Well, just here, let me have it. I'll get it." He goes, "Nope, I have to do it." I go, "What do you mean you have to do it?" He goes, "EPA has put a rule on us through the health department that I have to do this. It's a $350 fine if you do it." I'm going, "What? Are you kidding me?" He goes, "Yes, you've been handling lead."
What?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
you can ingest lead fragments?
He would not let me.
What? I'll give you chelation therapy.
No.
They do it to condors. Why not to old men?
I don't know. I would think at our age, EPA would like to have us eat lead so we don't last quite so long. So
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, the world is really a goofed up place.
It isn't what it was.
You can't doctor your hot dog at the. That's fine. Whatever. He did a good job.
Goes well with gunpowder, though.
Sure. Okay, we've got some a little bit of breaking news over on the left coast. The San Diego dock count yesterday was 7 boats out, a total of 8 trips, 311 anglers. I won't bore you with all the bottom fish and just fun stuff. 94 yellowtail, 2 bluefin. It's kind of spotty right now.
Mm-hmm.
I was just checking the sensories out at Tanner Banks. It's running 8.5 feet right now, so it's for Tanner. That's a fairly good day. So we'll talk to Captain Bill, see what's going on the good ship Malahini. J.K., you can fill us in on the Works project, and I'm going to kick this off with Josh. Congratulations on your promotion, getting out of OGT. Albeit you were pretty awesome there.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we've Operation Game Thieves has some pretty cool guys. Kenny Dinkwall has just done a great job. Let me put it this way: there's an awful lot of fine people up at the department, but there's 2 guys I don't want chasing me: Josh Hurst and Kenny D.
Kenny Dinkwall, yeah.
Yeah.
He always gives me a hard time. He makes me go through that metal detector every time I come to the meeting.
Oh yeah.
Well, he knows you.
Oh. Get the last commission meeting, I had to empty my pockets. He pulls out latex gloves. I'm going,
oh yeah.
God, here we go.
You said you couldn't reach in your pockets by yourself?
No.
Afraid of what he'd find.
EPA?
By the way,
EPA.
Josh, you went from the frying pan into the fire because the OHV community is one that I wouldn't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
I'll tell you, it's in a tough place off-highway vehicles are right now. There's a lot of things that need to be changed. There's a lot of things just that aren't real intuitive with the legislation, the way the laws are. But we have an incredible group of off-highway vehicle enthusiasts that are, rallying behind us and really trying to help us, make some headway with this. So we have a community of off-highway vehicle users that are willing to put their work in and that want to get things done on the ground. So that's
Seriously.
exciting.
Do you still deal with the Blue Ribbon Coalition? Are they part of it still?
I don't know directly about the Blue Ribbon Coalition, but the Off-Highway Vehicle Coalition, and then J.C. Sanders and the folks of the Arizona Peace Trail and a couple of other big off-highway vehicle user groups throughout the state. They've just been incredible. So,
Josh, give me some clarification here. All the forests came out with the road closures and the new OHV rules. J.K. was a big part of that. I know you've got some pointed things you're going to share with us, but how is it that Game and Fish Department is now having to deal with OHVs? I mean, how does that happen?
Well, through the legislation, 2009, when the legislation passed, we were given authorities years ago through legislation to enforce off-highway vehicle laws for
when it was horses and when it was trucks and when it was bicycles.
Well, yeah, and certainly with ATVs, with the 3-wheelers back in the day. And our focus was primarily habitat protection, folks that were cutting cross-country or damaging wildlife habitat, and that's still one of our main focuses, sticking to our mission.
Back in the day, that's what we did.
Absolutely. We're sticking to our mission, and, it's evolved over time. In 2009, with the legislative changes, it provided some funding to state parks as well as Game and Fish and State Land Department, where we received dollars and hired off-highway vehicle law enforcement specialists that that specialize in off-highway vehicle enforcement, looking for public safety, primarily, along with habitat protection and some of the other things.
See, that's the devil is always in the details too. And in the next segment, I'd really like to get into how you have to know what spot of land you're on in Arizona to determine what laws are in effect for that spot of land, because each individual national forest has different plans, state trust land has different plans, BLM land has different plans, private land has different plans. So we're
It's
going to have
complicated.
some fun. Yeah.
Yes, sir, it is.
And
I find it very frustrating that the federal government has no uniformity in terms of how they deal with off-highway vehicles. I find the ignorance within the new off-highway vehicle user community is being very frustrating. I think that there should be more requirements of people who purchase an OHV to have to put some time in. Just like if you have a boat, you should go through a class. You should do the same thing with an off-highway
absolutely.
vehicle.
First thing you do is take an IQ test and then go to a boating safety class.
Yeah, well, IQ tests are not mandatory for anybody anymore.
They should be with OHVs and jet skis.
Well, and then,
PCs.
too, you see all the accidents that happen. People who are in OHVs who don't wear helmets or who aren't strapped in, you always read of somebody who's either paralyzed.
You're going to bring that up? You're really going to bring that up?
It's true. It's true. You know that.
Those are discussions we're having and that we'll continue to have and we'd like to discuss today. Because there's a recreational mindset that changes.
Well, we've got the life jacket loaner program that I have some pointed views on. Are we going to get there with OHVs?
Have
loaner
OHVs?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Loaner OHVs? No.
A similar program with helmets.
I don't know. I know. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Just please tell me no.
No.
I don't know.
You said the word no.
Oh, man, it's going to be a long 2 hours, I'm telling you. Hey, I'm Don McDowell.
Special K.
Joshua.
Jerry, Tate.
The Tater is in the house. Hey, we're going to flip into a break. We'll be right back.
Last night I heard this politician talking about his brand new mission. Liked his plans, but they came undone when it got around to God and guns.
All righty, we're back. Josh Hurst is dealing with some pretty hot potatoes. Josh, how are you interacting with the forest, and what are some of the issues that you're facing with the users and interagency activity?
I'll tell you, interagency cooperation and just coordination right now is really, really good. We're working closely with the forests, both in Arizona, throughout Arizona and Albuquerque, and this is an issue across the entire West.
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's not just an Arizona-specific thing, but we are myself and a couple other department folks are with a travel management working group talking about travel management, and coupled with that is motorized big game retrieval and some other hot topics that we're advocating for our users, hunter fishermen, out recreational enthusiasts out there that are wildlife viewing, that are using their off-highway vehicles that are non-consumptive users. So
I have a question. Do you think we will ever get to the point where during archery hunts that OHV users will not be able to run around the forest from, say, 5 o'clock in the morning until 9, and then they can party from 9 till 3, and then they have to shut down after that for hunts?
No.
Why?
Well, I think that's government overreach. Personally, I think that.
Do you know the quality of the hunt when you're sitting in a tree stand?
Oh, man.
Yahoo
Sure. I do, and also understanding too that there's a whole lot of folks that use the woods that. Let's just say you were up there with your family, you wanted to go fishing, and you couldn't go down that road from 5 to 9 because there's some hunters in the field. So I think, I think that there's a give and take there somewhere. But maybe folks need to walk a little further off the road. Or
well, a few years
other
ago,
things.
we had a real similar issue with personal watercraft or jet skis. They were banned from Main Lake on Lake Powell. I think we tried it up at Lake Pleasant. They had to go over and use like at Pleasant, do it a shirt, instead of going out and buzzing humbug and up the river and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It didn't last long. It was a great idea, but that's a good question.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I mean, there's just so many different forms of recreation going on out there, and it's a difficult circumstance.
Well, if you look at like the A-Bar-S, which is where I do a lot of hunting up on that, if you cannot go more than 1 mile in any direction up there without hitting a road.
Yeah, you're right. It is.
So it's not a question of us getting away from the roads. It's
right.
a question there's roads everywhere.
And some folks don't have the ability to get further off roads. I understand that as well. I mean, we're challenged hunters out there as well.
Well, that's
absolutely.
That's one of my issues. I don't know if I'm mad at the OHV guys because they have one.
And I don't.
Or I don't,
Well, I think, one of the things that we're really pushing hard is just advocating for the safe and responsible use and letting people know what this looks like. And,
sure.
And I think that also, working with the dealers and folks that are selling machines and getting that information out to the folks that are purchasing these right away and letting them know their impacts on the resource and just to other users out there on the trails as well.
Do you see a time in the future where there will be an OHV class?
Probably not in the foreseeable future. I really don't.
There's just too many of them, Don, right now.
Well, it's like, do you have an idea how many registered?
Yeah, I wanted to think we had, at least almost 300,000, I think.
See that,
maybe even more than that.
Versus boats, last time I checked, were 176,000 plus or minus a few on active watercraft registrations.
Yeah, and when the economy starts coming back and people have a little discretionary income, I mean,
that's one of the toys.
Those are one of the toys. And
well, here's another problem that I look at. If it weren't for hunters and anglers, there would be no conservation efforts because, quite frankly, that's where the money comes from. The issue is we're getting put behind the 8 ball. We're slapped down every time we turn around by the environmentalists and this group and that group. You mentioned the wildlife watchers. That's fine. God love them. They need to pay the bill just like we do. I've brought it to the commission, to the director, to Jim DeVos. Says, look, if these guys are going to slap us around, they need to pay the bill. Okay. So there needs to be some type of a bird watcher permit, or I'm like everybody.
Good luck.
I don't care for government taxation, and I'm just like everybody else. I bitch and moan every time I renew my hunting license, and but they need to be held accountable. If they're going to tell us what we're going to do and what we're not going to do, I've got an article here that I'm sharing with JK. Don Trump Jr. goes to Montana to shoot prairie dogs. Oh my God! Here comes the HSUS, and God, oh well, we're going to save the prairie dogs. And I was like, what? What's going on here?
They are rodents, just so everybody understands.
They also, you know what? You go back in our lifetime, prairie dogs were agricultural pests.
Correct.
They carry disease. A little known fact about the department's trying to save the black-footed prairie dog, black-tailed prairie dog, whatever it is. I get that. But a little known fact, they carry tularemia, just like the rabbits do, and some other related things that I don't care to discuss at this point. But, Josh.
There's a lot going on out there, that's for sure.
Wow.
I will throw in here just real quickly a victory with the off-highway vehicle stuff. The Arizona Peace Trail, 700-mile stretch of trail.
Where does that go? What is the Peace Trail?
Peace Trail, it's a huge trail, and there's actually a website. I believe it's azpeacetrail.org. I believe it is what it is. But 700 miles, and it basically runs from the Yuma area, and it goes all the way up into Kingman, all around that whole western Arizona, and it's about a 700-mile loop. And there was a piece of that had been closed, I believe, for about 32 years, where there was a contiguous piece that was not connected because of access issues through Planet Ranch along.
Oh yeah.
The department had purchased that in cooperative management with a couple other folks with that, and that Arizona Peace Trail, they had a ribbon cutting on that in January, and it was reopened again, and there were over 400 people out there at that ribbon cutting. And it's not just an easy place to get to.
Sure.
But it just shows you the support of that off-highway vehicle community them rallying around a really great cause, and just how invested folks are into it. So that's a huge access victory.
What is the? I don't own one. I used to have one. Donnie just bought one of elk limo. He calls it. I think it's 4 or 6 place, whatever it is. What does a guy pay for the user tag?
Isn't it 25 now?
The off-highway vehicle decal is $25, and
where does that money go?
that goes into the off-highway vehicle recreational fund, and that goes to fund enforcement efforts, to education, outreach efforts.
That was the old Jimmy Simmons job way back in the day. That he was one of the first ones.
And Joe Sacco as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Joe Sacco.
Joe Sacco was in our study group. I was labeled the biggest greenie in the world by the OHV
What,
community.
you?
Me. I was labeled
the guy that wants to eat horse meat.
They told.
Come on.
Here's what happened. I suggested that, okay, as hunters, I pay $121 for an elk tag now.
Here
I
we
pay
go.
$36 for my hunting license. I get to utilize that land for that specific period of 1 or 2 weeks, and that's what it cost me. I said, why not have an OHV sticker that's similar, like $100 for a tag per vehicle per year? They went into what I would call an apocalyptic fit.
Yeah.
And they said, are you insane? I've got 7 OHVs. I can't afford that each year. And I'm thinking, if you've got 7 OHVs, why not 6 and pay for it, what you're trying to do? But they didn't see it that way at the time, so I was called Mr. Greenie.
Yeah. Now, did he complain about having to pay $120 for an elk tag? I've been trying to give him $120 for an elk tag for about 14 years.
We're not. I'm not. Oh
Listen,
my God, I'd love to do that.
I happen to know Doug sent me a notification up on my Facebook. JK has received a Sasquatch big game tag. Okay.
I got mine. I came in via Federal Express.
Nice. All righty. Hey, that said, when we come back, we'll try to wake up Captain Laidback. Captain Bill, welcome aboard the good ship Malahini. Alrighty, we're back visiting with Josh Hurst. Josh, what are your assets? How many guys do you have in your task force?
That's personal to ask.
Excuse me?
Well, right now we have 7 full-time off-highway vehicle law enforcement specialists statewide, and then we have our normal cadre of game wardens who enforce off-highway vehicle laws as well.
I like that term, game warden.
I do too.
Yes, that's a good word.
It is.
It has a lot of history.
It used to be like that, but we get into wildlife managers, and that's kind of warm and fuzzy, and the game warden's a serious deal.
Yeah, it is. It's a serious job.
Yeah, very, very, very serious.
You know, I'll mention one other thing that it's kind of a hot potato right now that we're really trying to get fixed for the end user, and it's non-resident user and DCS. So if an individual comes in here from out of state, a winter visitor, which, obviously.
Snowbirds.
Yeah, we have a lot of.
Gee, you think?
Yeah.
And they bring their OHVs.
They bring their OHVs, and there's a 30-day reciprocity in Arizona if you're registered licensed in your home state that you can operate here for 30 days. Outside of 30 days, there's no mechanism in place currently to get a non-resident user decal.
Are we collecting funds then from fines for people who are here over 30 days? And how do you know they're here over 30 days?
Well, you just don't. We're not going to sit on a machine for 30 days to see if it's watched. So
Date stamp those suckers when they come through. When they come across the border and they're from Canada or they're from anywhere north of here, Montana, Idaho, you make sure you stamp those OHVs.
Look, we do boat inspections.
We'll put you on
do
the stamping
OHV
program.
inspections.
So that's a reality. It needs to be fixed. And these winter visitors, they want to contribute. We want them to contribute. They're using the same trails that folks are paying to play are. Yeah. And it's the right thing. It's intuitive, and we want them to be legal. They want to be legal, and so we're not sure what that's going to look like yet, but we're working on that with those groups.
Wow.
It's kind of like if I were to go back to the Midwest now, it's like can't carry guns. You have to, if you're going hunting, you can do that. But, we wear a handgun out here anywhere. You can't do that back in the Midwest. how do people know? I mean, you need to do research wherever you're going. Excuse me. If you're going out of state and you're going to bring a vehicle, an off-highway vehicle, or weapons, or any of that kind of stuff, you need to know the lay of the land. You need to know the laws of the individual state that you're in.
You do, and due diligence it's one of the things that we certainly know before you go is what we preach. Whether it be hunting, watercraft, and once again we get back into watercraft, and most of those are Coast Guard, federal law. They're pretty standardized nationwide.
Oh yeah.
And so it's very helpful with that. And it would be incredible if there was a standardized travel management, route designations or markings nationwide for off-highway vehicle users, because the folks that operate in Arizona, they don't just ride their machines here. They're using them in Utah and Colorado.
Well, that's the problem. Especially with the boats. You're talking about your venue, the OHVs. John mentioned gun laws. That they should be standardized. I mean, because you go from Arizona to Texas, it's different. You go to California, you're going to jail.
Texas doesn't even have an off-highway vehicle program as far as decal or registration. You cannot ride an off-highway vehicle on a paved road. Here we can get them registered and they can be street legal. And there's a lot of states that there's no way for the folks that are residents there or that live there to even comply with our laws because they have no program. So it's difficult.
Texas has nothing?
Yeah, not as far as a decal type of a program.
Giddy up.
And state parks, they've been in trails. They've been an incredible partner in this, and they have the grant programs, and they've been a real.
Now they get a portion of the state gasoline tax money as well, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
What's it called?
The HERF
fund.
Yeah.
The biggest issue that a lot of the OHV people had initially was that the HERF fund money was paying for state parks employees. It wasn't going to OHV trails. It wasn't going to habitat designation or reconfigurations. It was paying for state parks employees who had nothing to do with off-highway vehicles.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of cleared up since then.
Sue Black, the director, she's doing an incredible job over there, and they really they have a great off-highway vehicle program, and they're really doing some great things.
Jerry, you spend a lot of time up on the rim. How big of an issue from a guide perspective is some of these issues?
Really big, Don, because, even though they have the road closed at one end, have gates up and fences, there's a back entrance to wilderness areas that's not marked, and they come in and you're out there hunting and you got clients, and John knows it just as well as I do. You get somebody in a good place where the elk are traveling or whatever in a tree stand, and here comes right by you an off-road vehicle.
I had year before last my pastor, bless his heart, nice guy, practice what he preaches, so to speak. Had him set up on 538D, the area up in 6B, and I was off down at camp goofing around, and I came back, and he was just about as mad as I've seen anybody ever mad. Mm-hmm. And he was getting ready to draw a bead. He was hunting with a muzzleloader, and here comes a OHV, scared the deer. The guys just, drove right up to the water hole, piled off, and had an upset fryer.
Yeah. We have the OHVs, and then we have the shooters, which goes out there during archery season.
Yeah.
And I just happen to have Stephanie in a tree stand not too far away from the Road 300. I'll be honest with you.
Hang on just a minute. I think we've got Captain Bill. Is that you? Over?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Captain
back.
Bill. What's happening?
I'm doing well. How are we all doing this glorious Sunday morning?
Well, we're discovering the ins and outs of off-highway vehicle usage.
Really?
Oh, sure.
Legalities, illegalities, and common sense. None of which all three don't meet.
Oh, I got one for you. I was driving down the 5 yesterday afternoon. This Lamborghini decided it wanted to go off-road too.
Oops.
Yeah.
That was not designated. I know Lamborghinis are not designed with high-end suspension.
I don't think they have the tire pattern for it.
He tried it. The person driving that vehicle tried it really hard.
Wow. Listen, I'm glad we were able to get you this morning. This past week, the Malahini Sport Fishing has been shake, rattle, and troll hook and bullet certified for quality of service, management aboard the vessel, and providing a wonderful fishing experience. So congratulations to you. It is in the mail.
Amen. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, we do too. Actually,
getting you out of bed every Sunday morning just to chat with us. I mean, you pay the price.
No. Come on now. I was up.
You were not.
I was up. I'm actually on my way to church.
Okay.
Mrs. Wilkerson is sick, so she's staying home today, but I'm going to go to church.
You're a good man, Captain Bill. Listen, what's the deal with the bluefin? We're getting really spotty bites off the bluefin. Come on.
I don't want to even mention the bluefin.
Why?
They're all show and no go.
Ooh, kind of like a few women I know.
We pulled into a spot of bluefin yesterday. It's probably a football field long and wide.
Serious?
And we're parked on the 50-yard line, throwing everything but the kitchen sink at these fish, and they wanted nothing to do with it.
Yikes.
Very, very typical bluefin fishing.
All right. What about hopping patties for the yellowtail?
We went through about 40 or 50 kelp patties yesterday for nothing. Seems like the fish moved south out of our three-quarter day range. The overnight fleet, the Old Glory, and I do believe the Sea Adventure had yellowtails, hundreds.
Wow.
I think the Old Glory turned in at noon, 100 plus on the yellowtail. The Sea Adventure had 74 plus or something like that at noon, and we're basically driving around the ocean looking for them.
Oh, that makes for a long day.
Oh, we've had two of those long days. I don't know how long this is going to be able to continue before we have to turn around and head back to the Coronado Islands. Oh, gosh.
What's the preferred bite? Live bait or flat falls, artificial swim baits, that kind of thing?
Any type of heavy jig, flat falls, 202 grams or more. The Salas 7X heavies, any type of heavy jig. Drop it down a couple, 150, 200 feet, wind like heck back to the top. A lot of the times on the flat fall jigs, you're getting bit on the drop as opposed to the retrieve. But yeah, it's been challenging the past couple of days for us.
Is there any particular color that seems to be favored? Perhaps the blue, pink, and white variation versus the dolphin.
Honestly, I don't really think that matters. If you get everybody doing the same thing at the same time, it creates such a disturbance in the water column. And you have these jigs working through the water column at, different depths and stuff like that. It's going to attract the fish and going to trigger a response from them.
Wow. One final question. How's the angler turnout been for you guys?
This past weekend, 25s, 30s, but it's slow, man. I mean, you're not putting up a fish count. And you come back to the dock empty-handed. People get discouraged, even though they see them splashing around. Oh, my gosh, look at that. Yeah, I'm looking at them. I'm looking at them for the past week and a half. And guess what? They like. But, I mean, that's fishing. You know what I mean?
I hear you. Listen, we got to flip into a break. We're a little short on you today. We'll make it up next week.
No problem, guys. Hey, you guys have a great day.
There you go. Book them.
Love your show.
Okay, you're the best, Captain Bell. You can book Malahini Sport Fishing at hmlanding.com or call them.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
All righty, boy, that's kind of appropriate for our time. Interesting. I think Ann Coulter's going to try to speak at Berkeley today.
Good luck.
Yeah, that should be on the evening news. Listen, Josh, I want to get this thing kind of final up. We've got to do roll call. We've got a couple of law enforcement officers that went down this past week. What can we do as users? I hate that word.
No, there are people who
generally there's zip ties involved.
Wait a minute. No. What's happened is there's a bigger diversity of land users now than there ever has been in the history, and there's more people doing it, so that there's going to be conflict. In people need to use some common sense, and B, know what is available, what's legal for people to do on the land.
Yeah, I agree. And, one of the things I just want to make sure, we've talked about OHVs as being a bad thing, a lot, and use that term. And
no, they're a great tool.
They're incredible tools.
Awesome.
They're no different than a gun. They'll sit there forever until the wrong person gets behind them, and then they cause problems. So most of our off-highway vehicle users are incredibly law-abiding citizens. Every once in a while, you get some folks on them that are irresponsible and don't use them the way they're supposed to be used, and people begin painting a big brushstroke about the entire OHV community, and we have to be cautious of that because the OHV community are the ones out there doing the work. They're fixing the trails. They're putting the sweat and just like you guys do with the wildlife water projects, and we know who's doing the work out there, and it's you guys. And so I think it's just to get involved. If you have questions, certainly have some discernment. Get online, check our portal, our Game and Fish portal.
The department has really come a long way.
Yes. There's a lot of off-highway vehicle information in there. And then, in our hunting regulations, or whatever forest you're going to go recreate on, we encourage people to call and find out what the land status is of those areas before they go recreate. And, that way they don't have any surprises, whether it be state trust lands or whatever it looks like.
Well, getting back to my question, as users, is there a reporting process of, if we're getting away from, or getting back into the reporting process, kind of universally. We've been, as you know, been working with the Border Patrol, and their mantra is if you see something, say something.
Right.
As opposed to prior to the election, if you said something, you got hammered. But is that something you guys encourage?
Absolutely. Like Operation Game Thief.
Who do we call?
Well, there's a 1-800, there's a Vandals hotline. It's 1-800-VANDALS, Vandals.
Whoa.
And,
really?
Serious?
There is, and it's been in place for a lot of years, and it doesn't get to the use probably because people don't know about it. But if you do see somebody, habitat destruction, that type of thing, cross-country travel.
How about littering?
Even any vandalism, they can call that 1-800-VANDAL line.
Well, Kenny D kind of got upset with us for trailer trash.
Well, we don't.
Well, we were calling OGT for
Correct.
littering.
Yeah, and we don't want that unless
understood.
Because it obviously that's not what that program is for.
No, we're just giving out Jim DeVos's personal home phone number for reporting littering.
He enjoys that. I'm sure.
Yes, I'm sure he does.
Yeah, and or you can just back it up and take it to him.
Well, here's a question though.
I like it.
Okay, I'm a responsible user, and for instance, I'm hunting. I see somebody going off-road in the Apache Sitgreaves. That's legal.
That's correct.
Even though there may be habitat destruction, there is no law in place to stop them from doing that.
Well, if it results in habitat destruction, that would be illegal.
Okay.
They have to minimize certainly the impact.
Okay, define that.
That's the devil.
Right,
How can
right
you
there,
define
right
habitat destruction?
Yeah, if you see somebody where they're running over bushes and destroying plant species, things of that nature, where an officer could go out and do an investigation and be able to put a case together, we'd want that information.
Yeah.
We would want
follow
you to
the tire tracks.
Absolutely, we would want you to report. That we see a lot of that with antler this time of year.
Shed hunters.
Shed hunters.
That's one of the biggest ranches that we have in Unit 10 is closed to all off-highway vehicle traffic whatsoever. The Big Boquillas, because of exactly that. Yep. The ranch said we're done.
Yeah,
the roads have been destroyed. People are running all over the ranch trying to collect sheds. Not happening anymore, folks.
Yeah, so people have to be cognizant of that. License plates, get us that information, get GPS locations. Our guys will go out and investigate them, and see if we can put a case together.
Wow.
That's the biggest thing is that if you can get close enough to an OHV to grab their license plate number and you start writing it down,
Well,
they get real cranky with you.
Look, we're in a technological age. Everybody's got a cell phone. Picture says a
1,000 words.
Yep. YouTube. Gotcha.
We have people that have reported some great, video of guys in meadows, wet meadows, destroying them, mud bogging through them.
We just had, what was the one up at Prescott?
Or even guys in stock tanks, that are mud bogging stock
Oh,
tanks.
yeah.
Those are unlawful, and that's a problem.
And I stopped a dad and his 3 kids, 3 boys, and the boys were doing jumps through a stock tank. And I stopped, and I said, do you know what you're doing? He goes, yeah, we're having a great time. I said, you know what that is? He goes, yeah, it's water. I said, you can't do that. He goes, why? What are you talking about? You're crazy. I said, no, a rancher put that in. That's for his cattle.
Yeah.
And he had no clue.
Right.
Again, it's knowing the land that you're on and what is going on.
That's similar to Jerry or I trying to talk to a jet ski guy. There's going to be a fist fight at the end of it.
Oh,
Well, yeah. Uh-huh.
And Jerry, you were relaying a story before we went on break about your wife and you were elk hunting.
Had her in a tree stand, like 3/8 to half a mile off the highway, Road 300 to the north there. And from the opening day, there was a big camp, and they had targets setting out in the woods, and they were firing rounds, started at first light, and shot all day long. And sometimes those rounds were coming a little bit close. But what do you do there? That is, we're not supposed to have a rifle or firing guns in archery.
Well,
you can shoot.
You can shoot.
You can still shoot.
Yeah, absolutely. You can. And if it's, not a safe situation where there's not a safe backstop or you're concerned for that, that would be a conversation you have with one of our game wardens or contact the sheriff's office and let them know that it's unsafe.
Good point. We'll get back to that in the second hour, but right now we have, unfortunately, roll call for April 23rd. We have a couple of fallen law enforcement officers. The first one is Deputy Sheriff David Wade from Logan County Sheriff's Office in Oklahoma. He was 40 years old. Wade was shot and killed when he was attempting to serve an eviction notice at a residence in Mulhall, Oklahoma. Wade was able to radio for backup after he was shot. He was flown to hospital in Oklahoma City, where he passed away several hours later while in surgery. Wade was a U.S. Army veteran and is survived by his wife and 3 children.
Agent Benjamin de los Santos Barbosa out of the Puerto Rico Police Department, Puerto Rico. He's age 32. Agent Benjamin de los Santos Barbosa succumbed to a gunshot wound sustained 4 days earlier following a police vehicle pursuit in Ponce, Puerto Rico. He and 3 other officers attempted to stop a vehicle for having illegal window tint, and the driver, who was on parole for narcotics charges, led officers on a pursuit. He finally was stopped. He backed into the patrol car and opened fire as he exited his vehicle, striking Agent de los Santos Barbosa in the head. Other officers, as well as bystander, returned fire and wounded the subject. The man was taken into custody, charged with 15 counts, including murder. Agent de los Santos Barbosa remained on life support so that his organs could be donated. He had served with the Puerto Rico Police Department for 5.5 years. He was predeceased by his sister, who also served with the Puerto Rico Police Department, but was slain in 2010 while off duty. He's survived by his nephew, who obtained the custody after his sister's murder.
Very, very unfortunate. We're seeing a pattern here develop over the last couple of years since we've been doing roll call for soldiers and first responders, LEOs, domestic violence, very high cause of LEO, as well as illegal drug activity. Listen, I'm Don McDowell. This is the price of your safety and freedom. Give it a thought.
Running wide open on a midsummer breeze. Fresh water, salt water, watch out, boy. Bass Daddy Don's gonna make some noise. It's me and the boys gonna shake, rattle, and
Now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman, the man that fears no fish, Bass Daddy and Tournament Pro, Don McDowell.
Hey, we're back. Welcome to the second hour of Shake, Rattle, and Troll. As always, our voice of moderation and reason is with us.
Absolutely, voice of moderation.
Okay. Well,
no reason today.
Okay, I get it. I'm tracking. We have Josh Hurst in from the department heading up OHV. You did a great job at Operation Game Thief. Jerry Tate's in the house. And Josh, as a department guy, how much hunting and fishing do you get to get in?
Not very much.
No,
I don't. And, a little bit that's just, I have young children and
so
it takes a lot of time. My son and I actually have a turkey tag this weekend, so we're going to get out.
Oh, how old is he?
He's 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't say he's
Really?
young, but
I was going to say, I thought you were talking 12,
through the years, so we're getting out a little bit more than we had in the past. But,
good.
Yeah, my daughter.
Besides your Sasquatch tag, you have a turkey tag as well?
I do, but mine doesn't start till the 5th, which is perfect because next weekend we have our water catchment project with the development crew from Game and Fish.
What's the details on that? How big is the catchment?
I'm not sure. I'll know when we get out there, but
yeah, we will.
Yeah, typically it's 4 of the 2,500-gallon tanks with the metal apron and then the exclosure that we'll put on. And, hopefully we'll have about 20 people out there to help.
Well, Professor Tate's in the house with us. Being the expert that you are, what's your take on fishing the soft plastic fluke this time of year?
I can virtually say right now at Roosevelt, I was there once this week, and then I was on Pleasant. When the weather is right, no wind and stuff like that, the fluke is absolutely the tool. Yesterday at the APS tournament, that was one of the major things that caught the fish.
Nice.
Even though the day before the fish were biting much better and we had a wind change and, we have a southwest wind and then it changed to northeast wind coming straight out of the canyons up there and down. Those fish shut off. And we had some really nice fish going on Friday, but Saturday, they wasn't feeding. They were there, but they would not feed.
I've been blessed with the ability and opportunity to fish across the country, and Lake Pleasant is one of the toughest damn bass lakes on the planet.
Yes, and a lot of the pros have come to Pleasant to learn Pleasant, and they can fish anywhere in the United States after they get through. And
there's been a lot of spankings out there, hasn't there?
Yes, there have. Aaron Martin, he come there, in the 90s sometime, and he went into Humbug, and he come out with some tremendous weights of fish, had several 8-pounders, and he's seen Steph and I. We were watching him. We had a day off, so I got to go out on the lake and watch the tournament. I wanted to fish it, but it didn't happen. But he's seen Stephanie catching fish. I was just watching. There were several people around, and he come over and he said, "Jerry, those are pretty nice fish." I says, "No, you're on the right place. I would never leave that at this entire tournament." And he won it by over 20 pounds.
Serious?
Yes. It was just to watch him and how he learned. And Brent Eller, I got drawed with him.
Oh, yeah. Once.
Yeah, whenever he was in college, still yet. And he says, "All I want is just to get a limit." I says, "Okay, Brent." I said, "I'll tell you what, we're gonna cull everything we got at 1 o'clock. We got a 1 to 140 opening on these fish, and that's it. Then they're going to shut down." And we went there and culled every fish we got, and he beat me by 4 ounces.
Nice.
When we weighed in, but that put him through, and he was able to qualify for the big fish off.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about rigging and how to manipulate or what type of action you employ with the soft plastic fluke.
Okay.
Your rod stiffness makes a difference. Line makes a difference. Hook size in various conditions. Let's take yesterday's pattern or day before, whatever it was. How would you rig the soft plastic fluke? How do you fish it?
I figured fish it weedless. I embed the hook into it, and I have an extra large hook, and I also use I like to use a heavy wire hook because of the fact we need a little weight. And I put it either on, if I want it to sink faster, this fluorocarbon. If I want it to fall slower, I'm going to put it on monofilament. And we were using monofilament to get to see it drop down in the top of those bushes that were just underneath the water and see the fish come at it. And then as you're pre-fishing, you don't want to hook those fish. You move it. You get to see them. But we ended up hooking a couple of them, and they just took us all over the place.
Nice.
Finally, one straightened out my hook. It just straightened it right out. So that was a big fish. And then the one that he hit it a surface bait when it was on the surface, and he hit up on top of one of those salt cedar, and he laid there on his side for just like 2 seconds so you could see how big he was. And I said, oh, my God, what have we found? But then everything changed with the wind and the conditions changed. But I don't throw them on braid.
Why? Because
the braid seems to get hung up on everything. If it's got a mesquite tree or a salt cedar, it loves to catch on. And
I was just gonna say fishing Lake Pleasant, especially Roosevelt, not so bad, but I like fishing with about a 7.6 medium action rod with braid, 30-pound Green Power Pro. This time of year, that's just me. I mean, everybody's going to find their own technique, but the white ice, especially on Lake Pleasant, been very, very productive. I like using the Daiichi, not the wide gap hook, but just a heavy wire 5/0.
That's correct.
And skin hook these guys. Throw it on the top of the salt cedars. Let's say back in Humbug or Castle Creek, Goose Bay.
Oh, you don't have those anymore. The burros have eaten all those off, haven't they?
No, not
yet. And then just throw it right on top of the tree and keep it above the water. Splash it a couple of times just to wake the fish up. And with that heavy wire, it's going to sink. And the reason I like the braid is you are in the bushes, and they do get hung up a little bit, but you get a bite down there, you need to get control of that fish immediately.
Oh, absolutely. You got to get him away from there. And like I said, when you're pre-fishing, you don't want to hook them all. So that's why we was using it that way. And when we come to the tournament, yes, I did have some braid on.
Are you cutting your barbs off?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you release them, but yeah, that's I just come from Roosevelt to Pleasant in 2-day period time. And I was up there with someone else that's fishing a tournament, so I can't explain very too much because we did find fish. And the same pattern was at Roosevelt exactly.
Well, one of the variations from Pleasant to either Bartlett or Roosevelt is using a finish nail or a nail weight to get that down at depth. The fish seem to be hanging on the bottom of the trees versus the middle or top of the trees. Just a characteristic of the two lakes.
Right, yeah. You can make so many adjustments to it, and you talk like you do. You use like braid. I use the fluorocarbon. I like because the fluorocarbon sinks it, gets it down there quicker. And if they're hitting in the surface and real shallow, then I'm going to be using monofilament.
Process that. Okay. That's all a matter of personal preference, I think.
That's correct.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, we'll continue with OHVs and ADA and AZGFD and all kinds of acronyms.
All that glitters is gold, and she's buying the stairway to heaven.
There's something to him.
All righty, we're back. Before we get too far into this next segment, I want to throw a shout out to Big Mike, JK.
He's wearing blue.
Yeah.
Golly, Mikey, you look so cute in that blue shirt.
Danica Patrick, do the math. Well, I think the race is going to get called on account of rain today, and Chase Elliott's...
Wait a minute. So is there a stay then that he doesn't have to wear the shirt?
No.
Whoa, wait a minute. There's no race. Why would he have to wear it? He wore it for the week. Mike, don't wear it.
Look, he won it until the next race.
You didn't do that. I never saw it in here more than 1 week.
Listen,
Mike, take it
I
off.
had that shirt 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah, you had it, but you didn't wear it.
No, that's not a true statement. I slept in it every night. Took it to
but you
Walmart.
didn't-
I've got
poor Mike's going around.
I had
with his
look.
big
I had to
baby blue
launder it
shirt.
before Mike put it on. Get the donut stains off of it from Walmart.
It's the mustard stains that drive me crazy.
Hey, Mike, it sucks, but congratulations. Like J.K. said, you look really good in blue, buddy.
Ooh.
All right, back to Josh Hurst. Listen, if I'm out recreating on my ATV that I don't have, but if I had one and I was so inclined to have a glass of beer, what kind of risk am I running?
Well, off-highway vehicle laws, if you're on, a maintained, Forest Service road or county maintained road, all the same laws that apply for operating or driving under the influence that apply on the major interstates and everywhere else in the state of Arizona apply off-highway as well. Just because
Let's say I'm not operating on a maintained road. I'm just out creating my own trail.
Yeah.
And having a beer.
Oh, yeah. Then we're going to get you
what kind
twice.
of a consequence am I actually facing here?
Depends on how many beers you've had, certainly. But, you're looking at open container violations, cross-country travel. There's a myriad of
and
other
a
things.
DUI.
Yeah. If you're
Have you blow. See how you do.
Yeah, if you are operating under the influence, you certainly would be subject to that as well.
So you're potentially looking at jail time, heavy monetary.
Yeah, and you're operating a vehicle, so there's your driver's license, is required. Your
Points.
Your points, all those things. Unlike watercraft, it does affect your driver's license.
Sure.
And the other thing is I've been working real closely with the Department of Health Services with their epidemiologist regarding injuries with the injury prevention aspect of off-highway vehicles. And in 2016, there were 31 fatalities on off-highway vehicles statewide. And
wow.
The 2015 numbers for injuries is there were over 423 in-hospitalizations that required OHV accidents required in-hospitalization care, and 25% of those were alcohol-related. And to me, that's a staggering number. And it goes to that recreational mindset that when folks are off work, they're out doing their thing, playing on the weekend, they let their guard down a little bit, and
I don't understand it, but I know that people perceive their speed as if you're not doing 65, you're not going to get hurt if something happens, and that's crazy.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, and the other thing that we see is children under 18 without helmets, and we don't have a helmet law in Arizona if you're 18 or over, but if you're under 18, you're required to have a helmet on a motorcycle or off-highway vehicle. And
should be if you're over 55, you should too.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, you say that, and you're absolutely correct.
We don't bounce well after 55.
Yeah, no.
There are significant.
Come on, Jerry.
That older demographic, we see a lot of injuries with that older demographic.
Sure, you do.
Yeah.
You're profiling.
Yeah, well,
it's
the
a
truth.
demographic. It's a range.
It's not profiling. It is
numbers.
a fact.
Yeah.
If you have a gray beard, it will not grow back.
No, if you scab it out pretty well, you can make sure of that.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a few places like that don't grow back.
Yeah.
Wow. What kind of injury statistics do we have available?
On the OHV community?
Well, now we have four wheels are prominent. The three-wheel aspect, I had one. I had two. And
those are all gone now, aren't they? Three-wheelers?
Every once in a while, you'll still see a remnant out there, but usually they're souped up pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
More of a race bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have the numbers broke out as far as, whether the side-by-sides are game changers. They really are.
If you roll those, you're in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, and people have to realize is, they're not the same as a Jeep. They're not the same as these heavily engineered vehicles that are for highway use and high speed and things of that nature and operated safely. I mean, there could be fun machines, but they don't do real well when you roll them. They just don't. Your body parts.
Do you see a lot of
and things
rolls?
come out. Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Well, we had one up at I don't think it was this year at ADA Youth Deer and Elk Camp, but we had one the year before. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
There was a crash and burn up there. I think you got involved in that.
I was there, but I didn't get involved in it much, Don. I didn't get to.
Well, it's like anything else, the thing that comes to mind is the movie Top Gun. You fly jets long enough, something bad is going to happen. it's the same thing with OHVs.
The other thing is it can happen to anybody. I
Yeah.
lost a dear friend of mine this past fall. A friend of mine for over 30 years was a Phoenix fireman, captain with the fire department, and his whole life and his whole every day when he went to work, he had his personal protective gear on, and he kept his crew safe and had all those things going, and had an unfortunate circumstance in Unit 9 this last fall, and it cost him his life. And
Wow.
it's a tragedy. And left behind a beautiful wife and 4 beautiful girls, and
Man.
the impact. We talk about these statistics, but these are real people with real lives and real stories.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's
Yeah.
We can't lose sight of the dangers of them.
I've known several people who, it makes no sense. People who are paralyzed, and when that machine falls and it snaps your spinal
Bam.
cord, you're not going anywhere for a long time.
Yeah.
Is there any one pattern that sticks out in your mind relative to accidents? Is it rollovers or head-ons or?
It's speed. And folks, with the
Speed and
rollovers,
bears.
and rollovers and people going out of the machines, not being properly seat belted in, and not having, head protection on, or, helmets. And, we advocate for helmets regardless whether you're under 18 or not.
Sure.
The professionals use them, and the people that make a living riding in these things, they use them, and that should be a pretty good.
I've just never understood the fascination of spending all day being in a lineup of OHVs, traveling, say, from, going up the 4 peaks from the B line, going all the way down to Roosevelt and back. I mean, by the time you get back, you're covered with dust and dirt and grime, and it's, I just don't get it. But, I'm glad somebody does.
That's
made
just,
an industry.
That's just you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also take a Prius off road pretty good too, right?
Yeah, but it's built for that. I have my jacked up suspension for
That's
the
right.
Prius.
And
some
your,
people may not
and your
understand that.
camouflage seat covers. I love it.
All right.
Yeah.
If you cut the top off that, it'd be about the same thing as a side-by-side Razor.
Probably would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unladen weight.
Except
under
mine's a
1,800
lot
pounds.
quieter. A lot quieter than a Razor. I guarantee you that. You don't hear me coming. I spook more women in parking lots with that thing. You go out you go out into Walmart.
Josh, you want
and
to
they're
go have
walking in.
pancakes?
Here we go.
Yeah, I know.
I watch
Down
more
a rabbit
people
hole.
jump because they can't hear you coming.
Yeah,
Quiet.
especially at Holiday Inn Express. All right, give your report line out. We want to get that out on social media and on the website and all that kind of stuff for you.
Yeah, well, also I want to just encourage you going online, take an OHV safety course. Those are available. We encourage people to go do that, and you get that on the azgfd.gov web, the portal.
How long of a course is that?
I don't know. I know there's a written course as well as a course you can sign up and actually go and take
Where do they put that on?
at
Hands-on.
our headquarters.
Really?
Really?
Our off-highway vehicle education coordinator, Kim Jackson, she runs that program and does an incredible job.
Okay. Yeah,
And who do you call in for violations?
You could call the 1-800-VANDALS line. You could also contact the local sheriff's department if you see, egregious off-highway vehicle activity.
Egregious.
Egregious.
Do you know what I consider egregious on
No,
OHVs?
No, I don't know.
I see a blade of grass bent, I'm going to make the call.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I understand. As long as people are recreating in what I'll call normal fashion, there's not much you can do about it. And if people are out there during the early seasons of the archery hours, sometimes it pays to stop by the camp and go, you know what? I got this wonderful tag that I just drew, and I haven't drawn it for 15 years. Is there any way you guys could sleep in tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sometimes simple conversations will alleviate a lot of problems.
Yeah. It sure beats going in with your bow going, I'm going to shoot your tires next time I see you out there.
Yeah.
That leads to conflict.
Yeah.
That's a Don McDowellism.
What?
Yeah, except you wouldn't be using a bow. You go, I see you coming down that trail. I'm going to shoot your tires out, boy.
No, that's just a launch ramp if you don't.
And I've got, my magazine holds 30 bullets, just so you know. You will have no tires.
Look at your quiver's not that big. Quit it.
I know.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Josh, that's really great information to have, and we want to support you guys any way we can, most obviously. So if there's anything else we can do or anything else that you have that we can put out there. We've got a new website. We've got a newsletter. We've got over 100,000 plus, whatever it is, on social media. We're happy to get that. And like you're talking about, this is not a problem just isolated to Arizona.
Yeah, it's not.
It's an
and it's going to continue to increase off-highway vehicle use. So, it's important to get involved early. And one of the clubs in Havasu, they have over 600 members. I mean, that's a pretty big group of folks.
Wow. They have nothing else to do.
It's hot. All right, that said, when we come back, the fishing report from the master rod builder, James Guggenauer at Rim Country Custom Rods. Hang on. Fishing's great.
Well, the morning's kind of damp. I'm not worried about cutting the grass. Left my truck at the boat ramp and my boat is full of gas. My old boss thinks I'm sick today. He won't have me to harass. 'Cause I'm out here on the river and he can kiss my big old bass. Kiss my bass.
All righty, that means one thing that Brother James Guggenauer from downtown Payson, where the weather's probably wonderful about now. What do you think, James?
It is 50 degrees and high of 70 today. So
nice. Yeah, I think we're staring 100 degrees in the face today.
Yeah, I saw that. Hey, but JK, I need a favor from you. Reach over there and put a piece of duct tape across Jerry's mouth, will you? Because talking about fishing a fluke on monofilament line in the spring, that's forbidden discussion there.
Okay, we're done with that. Well, let me ask you this: what do you prefer, a regular uncoated hook or a colored hook on your fluke?
I use just a black hook.
Okay, all right.
But there's just as many people are going to use a red one too. They say that imitates a little bit of woundedness to it. So you see both of them out there. They both function well. But what he was saying is fishing that fluke, and I'll also throw in some small paddle tail swim baits in that same class.
Yeah, right.
At this time of year, in shallow water, those things are just deadly. I mean, you can catch fish on consecutive casts with that.
Well, in your experience, have you ever had the opportunity to take your black Sharpie and put a little black dot behind the gill plates?
Well, now there you go, Don.
I'm just saying that. Come on.
I carry one in the boat all the time.
Yeah. Well, I got a whole bag of color. Purple's good. Purple is excellent.
Yeah, they come out real good.
And about 4 stripes on the tail of black. Okay. All right. Good enough, James. You've got a great fishing report out. A lot of good things happening up in Payson we'll talk about at the end of this. But lake level and I guess we don't need to talk about technique, but just the ability to go out and catch a fish.
Yeah, lake level and officially at 70% now, above 70% even. Salt River is flowing at about 3/4 of its normal rate for this time of year, and the Tonto Creek is about half of its normal rate for this time of year. But still good water coming in. I mean, springtime flows. Fish are up in those shallows at both ends, and that's where you'll see the majority of fishermen right now.
All right. That's really good stuff. There seems to be, like yourself, I talked to a lot of guys during the week, and the fluke is one thing that's very productive. What about crankbaits running, let's say 5 to 10 feet, spinner blades bouncing off the bottom off of main lake points?
Yep, all of those right now. And believe it or not, there's still some fish that are pre-spawn. If you're fishing that cove and you're, not having much success or whatever, move out into the deeper water and make a deep crankbait cast right in the middle of that cove and see if they're not sitting there staging, ready to still go back and spawn, because some are still being caught there too.
Well, we're going to have a spawn here in Arizona, especially on Lake Pleasant. We'll have them. I've seen them in October spawning at the docks.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more than one spawn.
That's been an ongoing discussion. Not so much with Chris Cantrell, but Larry Riley. We argued about that for 5 years, multiple spawns.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, they definitely do multiple spawns. I mean, you can tell that sometimes just by the size of fish you're catching.
Oh, sure.
This one was not born during the springtime for sure.
Well, that's great. What about some of the rim lakes? It's a wonderful time of year, fish up north.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Don. Absolutely. You know, the community fishing stocking programs have ended now. We've had our last one here at Payson Town Lake. But every time that program ends, the spring stocking schedule begins. So Tonneau Creek, the East Verde, Hagler, all of them are being stocked weekly now. And those fish are meant to be caught. You know, they want people to go up and get those fish out. They don't want them to hold over week to week. And in fact, in some past years, they lowered the amount that they stock if they're not caught every week. So we encourage everyone to take your family and get up there and get on some of those streams. It's a great time to be out there right now in the spring and just enjoy it and catch your limit. It's not hard to do.
Wonderful. What about crappie? Are they still holding in catchable numbers?
Talked to my crappie anglers this week, and yes, they are definitely spawning on Roosevelt now. More so on the Tonneau end than the salt end. I don't know if the anglers are just going there because there's more shallow water down that way, but good reports from the Tonneau end and also on the highway side of the road down there, the dam. Two hot spots for crappie. They're going to be in like 10 to maybe 15 feet of water, always going to be by the brush or a tree stump or something like that. And we tell everyone that even if you can't see them, but it's a dark, shady spot near a big stump, make a cast in there because most likely that's where they're going to set up to spawn.
Well, James, I think one of the things we're seeing, when we studied the gizzard shad infestation a few years ago, we broke Roosevelt down into 4 separate environments because of water depth or clarity or whatever the case. Temperature is a big variation on that, especially during the spawn. And now as the water rises and the surface acres increase, I would suggest perhaps we even have 5 different environments. So, what's happening up on the salt end isn't necessarily going to be the same thing that's happening down on the Tonneau end with the flats versus the shallower water, and certainly the amount of brush that now is in the habitat.
Absolutely. That's perfectly true. We've always said, in the past, when Roosevelt was in its heyday and it was 100% plus full, that it did fish exactly like 2 different types of lakes.
Sure.
And so as the water gets higher, you're exactly right, Don. We'll start to see that phenomena again.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing. We're getting national notoriety with the work that's being done by Kurt Gill and his troops and Chief Cantrell, and certainly, especially on the Florida strain bass stocking, resurrecting that lake back to a blue ribbon bass fishery.
Absolutely, and it wasn't announced publicly. We can only say it here on Shake, Rattle, and Troll. That this week, Game and Fish went out and did a trial run of planting their first bit of habitat out into Roosevelt Lake.
Oh, the fish furniture finally made its way in.
Cantrell condo.
Yep.
So they're trying to, they want to do a couple trial runs to make sure the process works well, and then they'll do a media event and invite all of us there. But so I was asking Kurt to buy those GPS coordinates. I wanted to be the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be out in your new book.
Yeah.
Wonderful. When are they thinking about doing the actual hard launching of the habitat?
Yeah, they're thinking during May is when they wanted to be there. And I asked Kurt early or late, and he said middle, typical. And so middle of May, I know Amber Lee was pushing for that too. So hopefully we can get those and get Dave Weedman on your show down there and tell everybody where they are.
Yeah, great bunch of guys really dedicated to doing what they're doing, like Josh and the rest of these folks up in the department.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. Listen, well, you guys have the Monster Mutter coming up June 3rd. You've got the Wild West Bass Tournament over on the Mother Lake. What are the dates for that? How do you enter and all that kind of thing?
May 4th through the 6th, and this is a championship event. So if you have qualified through the schedule of Wild West Bass Trail, then you fish that event. There are 50 boats going to be in this event. The final day weigh-in is up in Payson, and so we're looking forward to it. Nationally, actually worldwide televised, but starting out to be nationally televised. And it's going to be a fun time. Going to be a great weekend to be in Payson, and come on up. And those who came up for the FLW event, we think this is going to be just as big or even bigger.
Oh, yeah. Is MSA doing hot dogs?
We are,
cool.
As a matter of fact.
See, there it is again. Food poisoning. Just what you need after a fish tournament.
I knew he'd get around to the hot dogs, but yeah.
Look, it's a fishing derby. Yeah, hook and bullet. You get a hot dog, John. Come on.
I know. No. I want tenderloins anytime I come back in off the field.
Look, Josh, I mean, we grew up on canned Vienna sausages. He absolutely refuses to even own one.
Won't touch it.
That's why you fish with them, so you can eat it.
Yeah, thank you. That's for catfish. It's not for consumption.
That's the best thing, James, about being a catfisherman. You can eat your bait.
That and Velveeta cheese.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Okay, we got about a minute. What about the Monster Mutter coming up?
Hey, that's a big event. That thing is nationally recognized now. Cameron Davis, our Director of Parks Recreation, has done a phenomenal job in building that event. And we get people come in all over the U.S. to go run that.
He's going to be on the show next week. I would invite you to come on down. I'll buy you breakfast, and let's beat it up.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a good deal. Go to Payson.com, and you can see all the events that go on up there, because Payson has something every weekend.
Good stuff. God love you, man. We'll talk to you later on this afternoon. James Guggenauer, RimCountryCustomRods.com.
If you're a serious angler, or if losing a fish during a tournament could cost you thousands of dollars, then you need to have the best equipment available to compete. A fishing rod will make the difference in catching the fish or never sensing that the fish had picked up and dropped your bait. As all saltwater anglers know, a quality-built rod is the only way to successfully land that sport fish of a lifetime. Rim Country Custom Rods in Payson, Arizona builds all types of fishing rods for serious and professional anglers. Whether you fish saltwater or freshwater, Rim Country Custom Rods can build a custom rod for an angler and his specific style of fishing. They also do all kinds of fishing rod repairs, from guide replacement to broken reel seats. Call James Guggenauer of Rim Country Custom Rods for a free quote, or if you have any questions related to fishing rods. Rim Country Custom Rods can be reached at 480-495-1351. 480-495-1351. Rim Country Custom Rods for serious and professional anglers. 480-495-1351.
No matter what boat or watercraft you drive, your safety starts with the proper personal flotation devices for you and the people aboard your vessel. Hey, I'm Don McDowell, professional angler and saltwater fisherman and United States Coast Guard Auxiliaries Flotilla 1011 Guardians of the Southwest. Mustang Survival PFDs are our only choice when enjoying our own watercrafts or saving lives. Our lives depend on Mustang survival gear, and so does yours. Boat safe, boat smart, boat with Mustang. Your life may depend on it. Available locally at Sportsman's Warehouse, I-17 and Yorkshire Drive.
See a new world through Precision Sports Optics, where technology, quality, and value meet. Explore Optics are state-of-the-art products with the most technologically advanced precision optics available in the world today. Big bore rifle scopes, red dots, spotting scopes, Nature Smart binoculars and spotting scopes, including the new high-performance Nature Smart LED flashlights. Explore Optics products will perform beyond your expectations and are designed for the outdoor enthusiast that demands quality and performance. See what you've been missing. Available at Lookout Mountain Outdoors, 17232 North Cave Creek Road, 2 blocks north of Bell Road on Cave Creek Road. This segment of Shake, Rattle, and Troll is brought to you by Gun Protect. Total corrosion protection for your weapons and ammo at the molecular level. For more information, visit mygunprotect.com.
H&M Landing, the oldest and finest sports fishing landing on the West Coast since 1935. H&M's premier sports fishing fleet has over 30 sport fishing boats to choose from for 1/2, 3/4 day, or extended long-range trips, everything to make your deep-sea adventure a trip of a lifetime. Rent or bring your own gear. Book now at hmlanding.com or call them at 619-222-1144. H&M Landing, San Diego, California, where the weather and fishing are always great. H&M Landing.
This is the end, beautiful friend.
All righty, yep, we're getting down to the end of this. Josh, I want to thank you and Jerry for coming down, taking time off on, very precious days off that we don't have a lot of. Jerry, just to finish up the fluke fishing, any particular brand or anything you favor?
Not really, Don, because most of them are, and Zoom is one that I've always used, and I'll, that's just what I buy. But I use the Sluggos and
sure.
different brands. And
just to close that out, when you open up your bag, if you have a bent tail, check it out before you go to the lake. If you have a bent tail or a deformation in the body of the fluke, you can put it in a pan of not really super hot boiling water, but get them soft, lay them out on a counter, annoy the wife in the kitchen, salt them with a little garlic salt, put them back in the bag, and you'll be good to go.
That's right.
Let's finish up on OHV's safety issues, rollovers, aftermarket stuff, aerodynamics that they don't have.
Yeah, just as we were talking about during the break, my son Justin, he's out today with crazy Mike Eichenberg.
Uh-oh.
And Mike Eichenberg is one of those guys who pushes it to the limit.
Does he holler, hey, watch this?
Oh, yeah, a lot.
Cool.
I think there's a chromosome missing in that guy. I'm just saying.
They're probably listening right now.
I hope they are, because realistically, I know my son, and he's fine with it.
I know the gene pool.
Yeah, he'll be safe. But as we were pointing out, when people roll these vehicles, it's not built like a Jeep.
No. Yeah, body parts come out.
If you roll,
they can trap you real easily.
Yeah.
Your head, it comes out of these things, arms. It's can be difficult.
Well, one of the things that I see quite a bit is guys jumping these things. I've seen me do it myself.
Yeah.
On occasion, and they don't have aerodynamics. And you start bolting stuff on, especially the side by sides and that kind of thing. As you pointed out during the break, if it does have rollover protection, you put seats in the bed of the vehicle where they didn't belong, and you strap your kids back there. Hey, guess what?
Yeah.
There's no rollover back there.
There's no rollover protection back there, and you change the dynamic of the machine, how it handles.
Well, center of gravity.
Center of gravity. Yeah.
That's engineered. That's like Jerry and I taking a frenzy crankbait that they spent $1.5 million developing. We take it home, sand it down, make it better, and get it all screwed up. That's what these guys are doing. I watch my neighbor. I mean, he's a pretty conscientious guy. But every week he's got a torch and a welder and a grinder out there doing something to his quad. And
here's the other thing, too. We drive our vehicles every day.
That's right.
So we know what our vehicles are capable of.
Yeah.
These weekend warrior guys, maybe once every 2, maybe 3 weeks. I mean, some guys will drive it more than that. But most of the time, this is a weekend event. And they're accustomed to what they drive daily. They're not accustomed to an OHV that they drive maybe once every 2 weeks.
That's right. And, we went from a risk-averse mentality. I mean, you look at this as a low-frequency, high-risk event. Yeah. And, and so because we don't do it every day, and the consequences could be tragic if you make a mistake. And, there's just very little margin for error. And we encourage people to go online. Number one, to learn the limitations of their machine, go online, educate themselves about what the limitations of these machines are, and also go on to Consumer Product Safety and look at some of the crash tests on these machines.
That's important.
It's important to have some discernment and know what you're getting into. And, they can be absolutely safe, and they can be absolutely a great tool.
Well, another issue up in 6B, and I'm assuming it's everywhere. I'm driving a 2,500 3/4 ton truck. These guys are just hauling butt down the road. You come around the corner.
There they are.
You really want to go head to head on a quad with a F350, 250, 3/4 ton or half ton, anything? No. It's only got one outcome.
Hey, what's the deal with these 5-point buckles? Do they work better than others?
Yeah, I think anytime you absolutely can strap yourself in and have a harness type system.
Oh yeah,
it absolutely is a good thing.
Does that keep body parts from falling out when you roll?
not your arms.
It will help, but not your arms. The best thing is to grab onto those bars that they have. People, what they want to do is they want to try to put their arm out like they're falling naturally
to stop,
and that's where they get trapped and get pinned. And
so you try and keep it. You hand on the roll bars, and then you just lose a finger.
Absolutely, or just pull them tight to your body.
And then you look at a regular quad, John. You're doomed.
Yeah, I know.
First of all, there's no restraints, there's no rollover protection. You're leaving the vehicle.
Yeah,
and oftentimes that is not a bad thing.
Yeah, well, if I'm riding one of those four-wheel quads, I can jump.
Right.
Unless my head smashes into a rock, if I can jump clear of a roll, I'm happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like a horse. Horse is a lot worse when they roll on top of you.
Like I said, Josh, I know the gene pool. I see him jump speed bumps in his Prius. Woohoo!
I have been stepped on by horses. When they rolled me, I was cantering with one, and he hit a ditch, and I went over the top, and he almost came on top of me, but he stepped out and stepped.
So is that why you're mad at horses and want to eat them?
No, it's just a natural thing to me.
Okay.
I think it's a tremendous food source that people are just ignoring, and it's silly.
More to follow on that, folks.
It'll happen.
Well, you've got some stuff to send up to Doug to get on the website about the wild horse and burro issue. More just a quick question: what's happening with that Heber horse committee?
It's one of those processes that's going to take a long time to do. I know they've been interviewing a whole slew of candidates for this meeting that's set up through ASU, and the Fish and Wildlife Forest Service has asked people to come in, and they're interviewing everybody. It takes about a 45-minute interview. I think Mr. Unlock's going to be interviewed this coming week. I was interviewed about 2 weeks ago. And they're trying to get a diverse group together to try and come up with a solution for what to do with that specific wild horse area outside of Heber. And no matter what anybody says or does, there has to be a reduction in the number of horses.
The solution is obvious.
I understand that, but here's some thoughts, too, just an off-the-wall thing. We are not allowed to have a slaughterhouse in the United States for horses, which I think is silly. But if we were just to start off as a starting point, we need to feed all the big cats in zoos. They're importing their horse meat from Canada and France because that's the only place they can buy it. So they're spending millions of dollars importing that source of food for the big lions and tigers. Why not just have one sustainable slaughterhouse that provides the zoos across the United States with animals that are being retired? And I'm not saying you do it, willy-nilly, but there's a lot of horses that have been sitting out on these horse hotels across the Midwest for 15 to 20 years.
And what's the price tag annually from BLM on that?
The price tag each year now, approved by the Congress, is $80 million budget to enforce the Wild Horse and Burro Act, and it's only going to go up. When we're at half a billion a year.
No money for management.
No.
On the HMAs or outside their range.
No.
Okay, you're getting into a whole nother can of worms.
I'll stop that.
Yep, quit it.
I just want to mention one last thing here regarding off-highway vehicles. An independent White Mountain news last Sunday, there was a fatality with two young children, or actually a head-on collision. One resulted in his death, and the other was airlifted with serious head injuries to Phoenix Children's Hospital. And the investigation is still being ongoing, but I believe speed was an issue. Collided head-on, no protective equipment, no helmets.
Why?
And it's unfortunate.
And there are a lot of parents, when they go up north, they let the kids ride the OHVs because it's the newest babysitter.
Right.
Just stay on the road, kids. Come back, see you in 2 hours.
Yeah, here's the deal. I keep saying this on a number of issues, but Jesse Jackson, not that I'm a Jesse Jackson fan, but if we cannot educate, we must regulate.
Something like that.
Yep, that's what it's doing. Give your reporting number out once again, and whatever else you have on websites.
For cross-country travel, those types of things, vandalism, 1-800-VANDAL. It's the VANDALS.
Includes cross-country travel of destruction of habitat, right?
Absolutely. You bet.
Yeah,
I can remember 1-800-VANDAL.
Yeah, got it.
And then obviously our webpage, go on AZ to our Game and Fish web portal and go on the off-highway vehicle site. There's a lot of information in there.
You know, the nice thing is that everybody has a cell phone today that has a camera on it.
Yeah,
take a picture, folks.
Thanks for bringing that up. Is this a situation, if we see that, we just call the non-emergency number and don't call 911?
Well, it depends. You know, if the activity, do not call 911.
Okay.
Yeah, call the non-emergency, report it. The sheriff's office, you know, they have authority jurisdiction as well, and they'll handle it as well.
Have you ever seen a sheriff's department go off-road?
Absolutely. There's
Really?
several sheriff's departments in the state now that are getting heavily involved and getting grant dollars through state parks.
Cool.
For off-highway vehicle enforcement. You know,
Nice.
This is where our search and rescue guys are as
Sure.
well.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
They're
I know it was a problem about 10 years ago because none of the county sheriff's
They're not
guys would go.
equipped.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have the capacity with equipment and things of that nature.
Those Crown Vics were not doing well off-roading.
No, so those guys are getting in the game.
Down on the border, you watch the Border Patrol guys suit up for ATV riding.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like they're going on the Baja 1000.
Yeah,
perfect.
They have got their stuff packed pretty tight. So you guys do too. You guys do an awesome job. And Josh, thank you personally for what you do and all your guys up there at AZGFD. I'm Don McDowell.
Special K.
Josh
Tater.
You got it. Hey, check out the new website. Sign up for the newsletter. If you have any questions or comments, send them to info@shakerattleandtroll.com. Take the kids fishing, hug your bass boat, and don't drive your OHV without a helmet, and don't drink beers while you're doing it. Shame on you. We'll be right back. We won't be back.
We're out of here.
Next Saturday. We're gone. See ya.
Shake